What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, we got an interesting one here. Came across this video. We got the Nordic land forces, right? We got a power comparison video. Sweden, Denmark, Norway, and Finland. For some of their operational quantities out here. Oh, we checking this out, seeing what it's about. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Yeah, we checking out some military stuff here. You know, shout out to those that serve for their countries. I know I have family members that served, you know, whether it was my dad, grandpa, great grandpas, all that stuff, man. So shout out to the military, but let's check this out.
Since I started this channel, you've asked me to do a total Nordics military comparison. So here's the first video of 3 in the Nordic series. This one is going to be about the land armies.
The land.
We start off with main battle tanks. The Nordic countries have a total of 390 operational modern main battle tanks. That is more than Germany, France,
Finland got
and
its
the
own
UK.
200 by itself.
As for infantry,
I'm trying to see here. 11, 2A4 and 6. I'm trying to do the total. 3. That's more than 390. So
Germany, France, and the UK.
I'm guessing Finland has the most, though.
As for infantry fighting vehicles, the Nordics can boast a total of about 600 operational modern vehicles.
Okay.
And around.
Oh, I'm guessing maybe these are some different numbers. Oh no, they are different numbers. Say Sweden has 354.
Nordics can boast a total of about 600 operational modern vehicles and around 70 older variants in Finland.
Okay.
Sweden produces the very capable CV90, which all the others use, and have more than half the.
Man, look at that! I remember my dad used to take me to the air shows. I don't think I ever seen a tank. There might have been some tanks out there, but like my dad was in the Navy. We used to go to the air shows, and my first time in military planes, man, it was pretty cool.
Germany has.
I'm gonna see if we got one.
Moving on to the armored personnel carriers, the trend is starting to become fairly clear.
Dang, Finland
operates half of the combined 2,100 APCs. Finland alone has roughly the same amount of APCs as Germany. When it comes to infantry mobility vehicles, the Nordics come out at a solid total of 750.
Okay, so that number was right. I'm looking at this number. I was guessing that was how many they had total. Man, Finland had a lot. These armored personnel carriers, man, almost 1,100. That is a lot.
The same amount of APCs as Germany. When it comes to infantry mobility vehicles, the Nordics come out at a solid total of 750. Naturally, Denmark and Sweden have focused on this, as they have the terrain in which this type of vehicle is most suitable. The length of Norway seems to have encouraged them to focus heavily on transport. They've got 4,000 out of the total 9,000 general purpose vehicles.
Whoa.
The total ATV stock is spread over.
Dang, look at that. Yeah, Norway.
General purpose vehicles.
That's a lot.
The total ATV stock is spread over the 3 northernmost countries, with BV 206 being prevalent in all 3 countries.
And why Denmark don't have any?
As for the engine,
I would guess I don't even think, I ain't gonna lie, like I've done a lot of videos of Denmark and stuff. I don't think I ever done a video where I've seen snow there. Maybe that's why. Like I'm being completely honest. I don't think I ever did a video and I seen snow in Denmark. Like I'm used to seeing snow, the most northern parts, Sweden, Norway, Finland. But like just thinking now, I don't think I've seen snow in Denmark.
Being prevalent in all 3 countries.
I'm sure it does, but I haven't seen it.
As for the engineering vehicles, the spread is fairly equal, yet it is a capable and in most cases modern force. When it comes to artillery, Finland carries the load, though it is worth saying that both Norway, Sweden and Denmark have plenty of systems on order. It would likely be worth working on expanding the archer
and we don't even know how much
system production
Denmark
in Sweden, rather than relying on the South Korean K9. The Nordics produce 2 excellent systems when it comes to mortar carriers, the Finnish Patria Amos and the Swedish CV90 RWS. The operational total for all 4 countries is a respectable 142. When it comes to personnel carried mortars, it is Finland that has the quantity, while the other 3 nations have focused on heavier systems. Total operational about 3,300.
I might need to check out and see what Finland is doing with these things. Man, I need to check out and see how many people are in these militaries. Like how many people they have.
Next, we come to one of the real weaknesses of the Nordics. They sorely lack MLRS systems. Finland has the only operational systems of the bunch. And
Finland is definitely ready to be in attack mode.
Understand that the other 3 want to focus on air-guided missiles. We've seen the importance of GMLRS systems in Ukraine. When it comes to anti-air systems, the Nordics are well protected. Norway produces the NASAMS, and there's quite a lot of crossover for the 3 countries that have SAMs when it comes to launches. Sweden and Norway have the Patriot system, while Finland and Norway both have the NASAMS. The only real weakness is that Denmark sorely lacks any sort of ground-launched anti-air systems, though they've got 4 anti-air frigates to help the issue. Finland has an abundance of anti-air artillery to deal with drones. If there is one category you'd single out where the Nordics are really well covered, it's anti-armor. Finland has an enormous quantity of older systems, while the others have the systems which have proved so effective in Ukraine. Total operational 56,000.
Wow. I'm telling you, Finland is ready to be in attack mode.
As the famous saying goes, the line between disorder and order lies in logistics. Let's just say that the Nordics both produce and have an enormous quantity of transport vehicles. Scania, Volvo, and Sisu are all produced in the region. Total operational, at least 11,000. Drones are the new kings of the battlefield. Only Finland has properly disclosed their stocks, and some of these are made by non-NATO allies like Mavic.
We don't know how much
it would be a good idea to invest properly in Saab or Kongsberg to launch their own projects. Norway makes micro-drones who have already proven extremely valuable in combat. And Sweden makes the Skeldar, but it is highly untested. Total operational, over 1,000. Moving on from kit, let's look at the personnel of the 4 different nations. There are differing definitions of reserves and conscripts in each country, but I've tried to collect data which correlate across.
Okay, so we got, of course, Finland got the most of everything. Man, gosh, Finland have a lot of people on deck and ready. They do. I seen just in the NBA, Lori. I don't know the mandatory. If it's mandatory, I don't know how it work. How old you gotta be? Well, I don't know. I know how old you gotta be, but I don't know if it's mandatory for every male to serve and stuff like that. How that works? But I know an NBA player, Lori Markkinen. I hope I got that last name right. I just know he played with the Utah Jazz this past year. I think he just signed a big deal with the Jazz, but I think he had to leave to go serve in his military, then come back. So I remember seeing that and hearing that just watching basketball, you know. So I don't know what that rule is on how when they have to serve and do all that, but I know he had to leave the NBA for a little bit and go serve for Finland. But that's a lot. That's a lot, man. Finland.
Importantly,
Finland is ready.
Scandinavian countries operate
Stay ready,
with
don't
a
have to
home
get
guard
ready.
system, and Finland operates with a much larger reserve system. When you add up active personnel and the yearly recruits, we end up at a total operational force of 84,000. Add in the reserves and we're getting close to 1 million personnel. To compare, let's look at 3 of the big European nations in NATO. The Nordics has a similar land force, with just active and conscripted personnel to the UK, and France only has a marginally larger army. Germany's army is larger, but it also has a nearly 3 times as large population pool than what the Nordics do.
Wow.
Talking about population, let's look at the same countries in comparison to the Nordics. With 28 million inhabitants, the Nordics have under half the population of France and the UK, yet their army personnel totals are fairly similar. I don't think anyone can say that the Nordics aren't carrying their weight. By percentage, it is rather an argument that it looks like the Nordics are taking staffing of key roles far more seriously than the other 3 big nations. When you also look at the fact that the Nordic nations have a far larger reserve pool and home guard, it seems to me that the Nordics deserve a seat at the head table of NATO. Now, let's move on to the analysis. When you look at the upside of the new NATO-Nordic partnership, the first thing that comes to mind is that, as a whole, this unit is well-staffed. Finland has the biggest pool of reserves, yet the other nations have also got a long history of conscription, which likely means that all these nations have more capable reserves than what they list. Norway produces the NASAMS and likely has the capability to develop a long-range SAM system. And Finland and Sweden...
I can definitely say Finland is well-staffed. Man, they got the biggest... I mean, when it comes to everything, like... It do seem like they're carrying the load for a Nordic country. But, you know... All in all, man, they're very prepared over there. They're very prepared for anything, which would make sense. You know, just looking at where they are and who they're close to, gotta stay prepared and ready.
This is very capable anti-air capability. Denmark, on the other hand, is sorely lacking these systems and should invest in an NASAM system internally in the bloc. When you look at the Nordic tank fleet, it is larger than Germany, France, and the UK's, and with new investment, it will also likely be more modern. Sweden, Norway, and Finland all produce their own great equipment with a technological edge over many of their competitors. Archer, NASAMS, Saisu, CV90 and so forth all come from these nations and are extremely valuable pieces of equipment. There are also some downsides which the defense ministries of each nation should look at. Norway, Sweden, and Denmark all lack artillery. It would be wise for them all to focus on buying internal systems rather than going to South Korea for the K9. The Archer is by all means a better system, and the supply would come from in-house. Another issue is that there seems to be a plethora of different systems. In an ideal world, the countries should agree on a platform which they all can adapt for each piece of equipment, like they have with their tanks. While the Secretary General of NATO is Norwegian, it doesn't quite feel like the Nordics are getting their due when it comes to shaping NATO policy. Their forces are bigger than many of the so-called great nations, yet they often take second row when it comes to defining NATO actions.
I ain't gonna lie, every time I hear NATO, the first time I heard NATO and seen a lot of stuff dealing with NATO was with Nordic countries, so that's interesting to see that they lack some power up in there.
As we've seen in Ukraine.
And it seemed, like I said, Finland seemed like they got everything in line. They ready, like for the powers to be type of thing.
GMLRS systems are extremely important. With some effort, I am sure that these nations will adopt new pieces of these systems, because as of now, only Finland has a capable GMLRS fleet. Nordic response this year has shown that all these nations would do well with more collective training. That isn't to say that the training didn't go well, but ideally there needs to be simulations about how to support Finland in the unlikely case of attacks there. I'm sure these plans are well underway. Lastly, I think it is important that the internal budgets of the Nordics are spent on equipment from NATO allies, or ideally Nordic NATO allies. Norway, Finland, and especially Denmark needs to consider whether their money is better spent buying artillery and anti-air systems within their own countries or blocks, rather than going half the world away to save some money. Before you go, I'd like to ask if you could leave feedback below the video about how you think I could improve this channel. As I mentioned in the start of this video, there will be 2 more videos about the Air Force and navies of the Nordics. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to be notified when these go live. Thank you, friends.
Man, that was a very good video. That was very detailed video right there, man. Like they said, I was surprised. I'm honestly surprised that Denmark didn't really have that much. Somebody said, "Don't F with Finland," seems to be the lesson to me, right? You got 800,000 people on standby, basically. Like I said, Lori Marketing had to leave the NBA for a little bit just to go and do what they need to do. Man. Wow. Nah, that was good. I like the whole breakdown of everything and stuff like that, man. I definitely gotta subscribe. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe too, so I can stay up to date with that. Um, I think it's always cool to just know what's going on, military purposes and stuff. Like even, I even start trying to pay attention even here a lot more, you know. And I even tell kids like it's a good option, serve your country, you know, get free schooling. That's the only time you can get free schooling around here. Man, I think that was pretty cool. Finland is the largest, most accurate artillery in Europe. Man, like I said, I mean, just knowing who Finland is by, Finland got to stay ready. They got to. But, I mean, don't we all? But other than that, this was good. Hope y'all enjoyed this, man. So y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Hey, send down some more recommendations you would like me to check out. I'm probably going to check out the Air Forces and stuff next. Like I said, I used to go to air shows and stuff with my dad. So it's pretty cool seeing all this stuff. But other than that, y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.